This is Algebra 1, Unit 4 review. I thought we'd hit the highlights of what we covered in Unit 4, which is writing equations of a line. So the first one we started with is slope-intercept form, which I think we all know is y equals mx plus b, where m represents the slope and b represents the y-intercept of the line. So we started with, given a graph, write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form. So you can see right here that our y-intercept looks like it's at +3. And we know we call the y-intercept our b. And the slope, it looks like we rise 2, run 1. So our slope, which we call m, is rise 2, run 1, or we can just call that plain old 2. So the equation of this line would be y equals mx plus b. We're going to replace the m with 2. We're going to replace the b with a +3, and we're done. The next thing we did is, given the slope of the line and a point on that line, write the equation of a line. So let's practice one of those. So we take y equals mx plus b. We're going to replace the m with the 4, which is given. We're going to replace the x and the y. We're given that our x is 1. We're given that our y is 2. And we have to figure out what our b is going to be. So we're just going to simplify this. 4 times 1 is 4. Subtract 4 from each side. It looks like our b is going to be -2. So now we know our m is +4, our b is -2. We put it all together again, y equals mx plus b. We're going to leave y and x as variables. They're going to change as the line changes. In place of m, I'm going to put a 4. In place of the b, I'm going to put a -2. You could write a plus and -2, but it's a little bit more sophisticated to just write -2. All right, then the next thing, we made it a little bit more difficult. They didn't give you the slope, they gave you just 2 points on the line, and we have to calculate our own slope, no problem. So our slope formula we know is y minus y over x minus x. It doesn't matter if I take 4 minus 2 or 2 minus 4, I'll get the same answer. So I'm just going to take 4 minus 2. And because I started with the 4, that means I have to start with the 3 for my x. I called that my x sub 2. So I'm going to take 3 minus 2, which gives me 2 over 1. And again, we can just call that plain old 2. So that's our slope. Now you can choose either point. If I choose 2, 2, you choose 3, 4, we'll get the same answer. I usually look for the easier one for me, so I think I'm just going to choose 2, 2. So we're going to take y equals mx plus b. In place of x and y, I'm putting the 2, 2. In place of the m, we just found out the m was also 2 as a coincidence, and we have to figure out what our b is going to be. Subtract 4 from each side. It looks like our b is going to be -2. And then again, the grand finale, put it all together. Our m is 2. Our b is -2. So we're going to say y equals 2x minus 2 is the answer we're looking for. All right. Next one we talked about is called point-slope form. And this one looks a little tricky, but it's super easy. So here's the formula. And you don't have to memorize that. You can use a formula sheet or your notes. So they're going to give us 2 points and ask us to put it in point-slope form. So the first thing, again, we have to do is calculate our slope. We need our slope. So the slope formula, y minus y over x minus x. Again, order doesn't matter. So I think I'm going to take the 4 minus a -2. But because I started with the 4, I got to start with that 3. So my x's are going to be 3 minus 0. We're going to make that minus minus a plus positive. And it looks like 6 divided by 3 is going to give us a slope of 1. All right. And then, again, just like before, you can choose either of the 2 points to get the answer. So the point-slope formula is y minus y sub 1 equals m times the quantity x minus x sub 1. It's our job to replace the m, the y sub 1, and the x sub 1. The x and the y are our variables. They're going to stay that way. So we have y minus, and I'm going to choose this point first just to show you what it looks like. So that's a -2 as my y, equals our m we calculated was 2. And our x sub 1, because I chose this point, I'm going to use 0. And then we just need to clean it up a little bit. A minus minus, we like that better as a plus. You don't want to distribute, otherwise it's no longer in point slope form. Okay, so that's an acceptable answer. But I said it's fine to choose either of the 2 points, so let's choose the other point and see what that looks like. So it's the same thing. It's y minus y sub 1 equals m times quantity x minus x sub 1. And we just want to replace the y sub 1 as 4 this time. The m we calculated was 2, that's right there. And then we're going to replace the x sub 1 with a 3 this time. And there's nothing to clean up. And you're saying, hey, that looks different than the other answer. Yeah, that's true, but it's going to give us the same line. Okay. And then the last thing I want to just talk about, highlights of Unit 4, were the equation of a line parallel or perpendicular to a given line. So parallel, if you think of parallel lines, you can see they have to rise or fall at the same rate. Otherwise, they're going to run into each other. So we know parallel lines have the same slope. Okay. So if they're asking us for a line parallel, I look to the slope of that line. It looks like their slope is negative 3 over 4, which means our slope is going to be negative 3 over 4. It's going to fall at the same rate. But their b is 0. We're going to have a different b, a different y-intercept. So let's figure out what that's going to be. So we're going to take y equals mx plus b. We're going to take this point they give us. In place of y, I'm putting a negative 1. In place of m, I'm going to put negative 3/4. In place of x, I'm going to put the x value, which is 4, and we're going to calculate our b. So it looks like that's going to work out nicely. It looks like my 4's are going to cancel out. So I get negative 3 plus b. I'm going to add 3 to both sides. It looks like our b is going to turn out to be positive 2. And now we're just going to put that all together like we've been practicing. So we're going to say y equals mx plus b. We're going to leave y as a variable. Our m we know is negative 3 over 4. And our x is a variable, and in place of b we're going to put a positive 2. The last thing I want to talk about is the equation of a line perpendicular. So perpendicular we know means they intersect at 90 degrees. So if you think of that as a coordinate plane, you know one has to be going uphill, one has to be going downhill. So you know one's going to have to be a positive slope, one's going to have to be a negative slope. Okay. And the other thing is it's the reciprocal, it's the negative reciprocal. So if their slope is negative 3 over 8, our slope is going to be positive 8 over 3. So we're going to start with that. They give us a point, we're going to calculate our b. So here we go, y equals mx plus b. In place of y, I'm going to put negative 3. In place of m, you want to use your new slope, not the old slope. So I'm going to use m is 8 over 3. In place of x, I'm going to put our x value, which is negative 3. And we're going to figure out what our b is going to be. And it looks nice. Our 3's are going to cancel out. So I'm going to make that a negative 1. So I get negative 3 equals 8 times negative 1, or negative 8 plus b. Let's add 8 to both sides. So it looks like our b is going to be positive 5. And grand finale, let's put it all together. Y equals, you want to use our new slope, which is 8 over 3, x, and our new b, which is going to be 5, and we're done. Please try the practice problems. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.